Hey y'all, today we're going to look at the Lee Classic Turret Press. Had a couple people ask for a review on this and figured I would do one after watching some of the reviews online about it. A lot of good reviews, and then a couple people that I felt like they definitely had a bias, and I'm not saying that you can't have a bad experience with a product, but I felt people that just kind of had bias because maybe they had bought a different brand and wanted to bash the Lee. So I wanted to give it a fair shake. So basically, what Lee Precision has done is Lee takes the Henry Ford approach to producing reloading supplies. Rather than producing a few presses and making a bunch of money, it feels like Lee has gone on the other way and produces a bunch of presses and makes a little bit of money. This press was only $100 when I bought it. Now I think it's going up since I bought it. It's been about a year or so, but fairly inexpensive for what you're getting. So it's you can go look at some of the other companies, and some of the other companies, just their single stage is $100, which I'm not saying they're bad products. I'm just saying that these are more budget-minded presses, but you do still get a bang for your buck. So as far as quality, one of the reviews in particular that kind of rubbed me the wrong way was they went on about the base being pot metal and cheap. I'm here to tell you this is not pot metal. This is cast iron, just like most presses, and it is solid. It is solid. It is good and thick, and I've had no issues with it, no flex, no anything. It bolted right down to my ultra mount, and I really have not had any issues with it. The rest of this thing, it's been good and solid. The nothing has fallen apart, nothing has come loose, and just overall, it's functioned as it's supposed to. There's only one piece that I know of a known issue. I have not had the issue yet, but I know it's bound to happen probably someday. Is this little plastic piece right here that the center guide rod runs along, and then it holds your shell holder. It attaches from the ram to the rod. I know that after so many years of running it, that these have a tendency to strip out, and it will no longer advance your turret. I have not had that yet. As you can see, it still functions just fine, but I know it's a known problem. Supposedly they're not too hard to replace, and for whatever reason, Lee went with plastic. Maybe it's just because it glides along the shaft better and is able to run smoother. I don't know, but they went with plastic, so known issue that if you plan on doing 10,000 rounds a year, eventually you might have to replace that. But other than that, not really any issues. Like I said, quality on these, really happy with. I've been able to get some really good consistent rounds out of this. I really do prefer the turret over the single stage because you can go from an unprimed or primed casing, an old casing, spent primer, and you can put it in, and with 4 cranks to the handle, you can have a brand new reloaded cartridge. And you can literally, once you've got everything set up, depending upon what changes you do to your press, you can crank out around a minute or less, much less. I bet you I could probably do a round every 30 seconds. So really, really like the Lee, really like the quality. One of the nice things that Lee offers is there's lots of upgrades. You see this little hook, this little plastic hook mounted here. The reason that's there is because I have my priming system sitting here. This is their Lee safety primer, whatnot. So what it does is it makes it, because your thing for your primers is right here, and how you can change it, because when you buy the press, it comes with both of these, is you have your large primer and your small primer, right? So that's how easy it is to swap out. You just pull it out. But what you do is, once you put your shell holder back in, you just bring your ram up, right? Push this forward and on, and it automatically dispenses a primer onto your press or onto your thing, and then when you lower your ram, right, it pushes the primer up into the casing. So that's a really nice addition. And if you get enough of the different upgrades and tweaks, you can actually have it to where you don't have to take the case out of the press until it's done. That's one of the really nice advantages of a turret, is it gives you the controllability of most single stages with some of the nice features of a progressive. It's not quite as fast as a progressive by any means. I know with most progressive, once you get it rolling, one crank of the handle equals one round. This is not the case. It's 4 cranks per round. But overall, I consider it to be much simpler than a single stage once tuned properly, only because you don't have to have trays sitting around with half-done cases trying to figure out what step is next, so on and so forth. And for some people that might be what they want to do. I like to be able to take a piece of brass and turn it into a round in one smooth step and move on to the next one. Yeah, one of the other really nice features about this thing is the interchangeable heads. Right now I've got a 44 mag 44 special head in, right? And say I want to go to 10 millimeter, right? These heads, which are only $10, turn, pull it out, and here I can pop in my 10 mil head right now. So the nice thing about these heads is, unlike a single stage where you have to set your dies and set them up for positions each time, there, I'm ready to do 10 millimeter. So just like that, I did a caliber change. Now you might have to tweak a few things if the head's been sitting a while, or you bumped it, but other than that, that's a pretty simple caliber change. That, and you change your die holder or your shell holder. But yeah, like I said, really happy with this press. The quick change is really nice for me. That was one of the things that sold it for me, because I've got like 4 of these, including one for just decapping and stuff, and I can set these on a shelf, which I know they make holders and stuff for them. I might have to get one, and I could just sit these somewhere, and when I need them, I pull them out, and there it is, ready to go. Don't have to fiddle with anything, which for someone reloading multiple calibers on one press, that's a huge advantage. So yeah, like I said, really happy with this press. Probably one of the only, there's 2 things I would change about this press, and they're pretty simple. Like I said, one would be maybe not make this part out of plastic, just because I know it's definitely the weak point in the press, and even though it fails after thousands of rounds, still considered a weak point. The other thing is, and I know this is most presses, the round handle, right? Nothing wrong with it, but if you're reloading all day long, you will definitely, especially if you got like arthritis or something, definitely your hand starts to get a little sore. I know they make an upgraded handle that's like the roller handle style. Would be nice to see that included with the box, but again, 90% of your presses come from the factory with this round ball handle. Not the end of the world. Just those if those were the 2 things I would just say that they should change, those would be it. But other than that, I'm really happy with this press. I highly recommend it for anybody thinking about getting in reloading. As a first press, it's a good press. As maybe bumping up from a single stage press, it's a good press. Basically, the only people I wouldn't recommend it for, and these people probably won't watch this video because they've probably already outgrown something like this, is the people wanting to do 10,000 rounds a year. If you're doing that, you probably are going to look at a Dillon or some type of other full progressive. But other than that, for the casual reloader, I highly recommend it. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and have a good day.